Hello everyone, my name is Roya, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read in the first half of September because, once I get about 5 books read before the halfway point of the month, I figure I just do a wrap up because otherwise my final wrap up at the very end will be too long. So anyway, I'm going to go through from the most recent book that I read to the closer to the beginning of the month book that I read. You know what I mean. Most recently, I read South of Sunshine by Dana Elmendorf, and I heard about this book from Cece at Problems of a Book Nerd. She did a review of this, and it sounded so good. So basically, this is a book about a girl named Casey who lives in a small town in Tennessee called Sunshine. She is gay and very much in the closet and pretends to go out with guys and stuff like that because her town is very closed-minded about things and very not accepting. And then one day a new girl named Bren comes to her school, and she's from Boston and she's very openly gay. So they fall in love, and Casey is still in denial and kind of doesn't want her mother or her friends to find out. This book does a great job of painting the picture of a small town where everyone is like really unaccepting and people still don't know what it means to be gay and they think it's like contagious and all this weird stuff. Even in today's world where gay marriage is actually legal in all 50 states. I thought that the very beginning of this book was a little bit slow, but it really picked up pretty quickly, and also I found 3 typos in it, which were like pretty bad typos. They were like really obvious, so I thought that was kind of, I had to take off a star in my rating for the typos and the slow beginning, but other than that, this was a really good book. I also really like the characters of her friends because her best friend Vaughn is a gay dude and he's a lot more open about it than she is, and he's just really funny and a really good friend and all this stuff. This book reminded me a lot of the book Far From Xanadu, only I think this one might actually be a little bit better because I guess it just gives us a little bit, like, it doesn't quite give us as much character depth, but it gives us a little bit more, like, insight into just the theme in general, I feel like. Before that, I read The Big Lie by Julie Mayhew, and I had been meaning to read this for way too long, but basically this book is about, it takes place in England, but England is actually Germany because Germany won the war, took over all of Europe, so all of Europe is actually Germany. And the book follows a girl named Jessica, or Jessica, I guess, and basically she, has a best friend named Clementine who is kind of rebellious and sort of wants to oppose the government and all of this stuff, whereas Jessica is actually very, she's the good girl who does everything right. The setting did a really good job of being just like kind of Germany in like the war era, but also kind of how it would be today. So a lot of the people who are in, England, for example, you don't really know if they are like ethnically German or English because it all gets so blended together. This book is not very uplifting at all, so if you're like in a really bad mood and like are looking for like a book that'll cheer you up, this is not that book. I will tell you that right now. It is very sad and like really tragic and kind of a downer, but it is so powerful and just like does so much. Another thing is that the main character is actually a closet lesbian, basically, and so there's a lot of stuff in it about like about how that would have been treated and like back then, and how totally not okay that would be in a world like this. And it just makes me think about how so many countries are really like this world that's in this book. Like there are countries all over the world where, for example, homosexuality is really not accepted. So this book also kind of had elements of just your typical dystopian book. Like, for example, I feel like people being sterilized, if they shouldn't be allowed to procreate because of like genetic stuff. Like that's something that I would have expected out of more like your typical like YA dystopian novel, and not a book that's like this. But at the same time, this book is a lot more like relatable to today's world than even like 1984 and Brave New World are and stuff like that. It paints a really clear picture of like a speculative society that could have happened and whatnot. It's really interesting, and seriously, I highly recommend this book to freaking everybody. It is probably one of the best books I've read all year, if not the best one. Before I jumped into The Big Lie, I read A Secret History by Mary Gentle, and this book was pretty freaking disappointing. So, the things that I liked about it were A, an empowering female lead, and B, the use of correct like terminology for like, for example, different parts of armor and stuff like that. Like, obviously the author knows what she's talking about. She's researched this. She actually has a degree in like relevant stuff that has to do with this book. But there were so many things that I didn't like as much about this book. I felt like the writing style sort of made it hard to connect to it that much. And also, we don't really get to know any of the other characters at all. They're kind of just in and out of the story so much. And then also, there was very little plot. And what plot there was, I was just really not interested in. So past like the very beginning, it's just really kind of dry the whole way through, and I just found myself really not caring at all. Then there was some pretty like unbelievable stuff just that I just did not buy, basically. For instance, the fact that this chick like lost her virginity when she was 6 years old just because like all the orphan kids have sex with each other when they're that young. Like, I don't think that's possible somehow. Like, physiologically speaking, I'm not really sure that 6-year-olds can actually do that. So that kind of ruined the reality of it for me. And then also the fact that the first time she kills people was like at age 8. And I know that it makes it pretty clear that she had already started training, like combat training at that age, but the thing is, though, like these were 2 grown men that she killed who were actually trying to kill her, and literally she gets out of it with like a scratch on her cheek, and that's it, like from an attempt to kill her. And I'm pretty sure that if an 8-year-old girl started attacking 2 grown men, they would easily have been able to kill her. I just found some of the stuff in this book a little bit like just not that interesting, because the reality of it was just ruined by everything that happened in it. So before I got into that one, I finished The Other Typist by Suzanne Rindell, and I really liked a lot of aspects of this book, but it didn't quite have what I was hoping to see in it. So basically this has been like billed as like an LGBT book, but honestly, I did not find that in this. There were practically no LGBT elements at all. So honestly, if you're looking for like an LGBTQIA plus read, this is probably not it. Because basically we only get the barest inkling of one of these women falling for the other one. It did have a really interesting thriller aspect to it that gave me kind of the same sort of chills as Gone Girl did. So why don't I actually talk about what this book is about, because I realized that I totally did not say anything about that. So this book is about a girl named Rose who works as a typist at the police precinct in the 1920s in New York, and this other typist, hence the title, comes in and starts working there as well, and her name is Odalie, and she is nothing like anyone else who Rose has ever met. And so they become friends, and it becomes pretty obvious to Rose pretty quickly that Odalie is pretty manipulative and is using her for a lot of stuff. Odalie never actually shares like where she came from or anything, but any story that comes up about her past that could be like it's probably not true, basically. And so once Rose finds out what the truth probably is, there's just no going back. So it's a pretty interesting book. It's pretty creepy. I think it takes about half the book to really get there, but this is not a very long book at all. And finally, the first book that I finished this month is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the third book in the Farseer trilogy. I think it suffered from middle book syndrome, even though it was not the middle book, which is kind of weird. Like, not a whole lot happened in it. Half the book is literally just Fitz traveling, and it's not even the fun sort of survivalistic traveling. It's literally just him just wandering around, like not knowing what to do and being all conflicted, and all the characters that he runs into on his journey are all minstrels for some reason. Like, all but a couple of the people that he meets, the new characters that we get, are all minstrels. And so we really don't get enough of the other characters that we got to know in the first two books. We don't get enough of the villain at all, because he is just, because this whole thing is from Fitz's point of view, of course, but and as such, since he doesn't encounter a lot of those people during this book, we don't get to see it, what's going on. So pretty much when they say things like, oh no, Regal took over the kingdom and he's such a horrible ruler, he's doing this and that, like, we don't see it, and so we don't start going, oh shit, he's a terrible person, hopefully they get rid of him, or any of that stuff, because it's all so behind the scenes, that it has no impact on us at all. And I felt like a lot of the magical elements sort of didn't have a system at all. A lot of stuff came out of nowhere and was not explained. And so I just didn't really get it the way that, like, I really liked the first two books in this series, but this one just, like, I don't understand pretty much. So I'm very excited to read the second trilogy in this series of trilogies, or whatever the heck's going on, and see just what happens next. There you have it, folks. These are the books that I read in the first half of September, and it's really interesting. I don't usually, like, leave detailed reviews on Goodreads for everything that I read, but I had such strong feelings about every single one of these books that I actually did leave a Goodreads review for all of them, which is crazy. Usually I only do that for maybe one book per month or something, if that. But honestly, like, I had so much to say about all of these, it's, like, weird. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what books you are reading right now and what book you have read this month so far that you've liked the best. And I will see you soon in a new video. Bye!